Right, so I said that I'd record another video. So I recorded a meeting that I traded yesterday, and that was at Goodwood. So there's plenty of liquidity, and you see there's lots of money in the market there. 4 minutes to the off, and there's almost £300,000 matched already. So it was a good one to trade really, and had a nice swing involved as well. So you can see actually I've already made a profit of just over £16, and it's about 4 minutes to the off. So I got involved quite early on this one, and you see with button up there, the Betfair graph at the bottom shows that it's steaming in for the last hour or so, from sort of tens all the way into about fours, and you can see it sort of bounced off and looks as though it might be drifting out a bit now. But and also to the right of it, persistence has got a complete opposite direction, and that's drifted all the way out from sixes to about 12 so far. They're a really good horse that could have been traded quite early. You don't get this every race, but some races it's worth flicking about. When you're about to trade the next race, maybe check some of the future races and see if the graphs do look quite strong, and if there's a lot of money coming in for a particular horse, if one's drifting out quite strongly. Sometimes you can identify an opportunity where you can get on quite early, and one that might carry on for quite a long way. Sometimes they can be fairly easy to spot. What you're generally looking for is quite a smooth graph, especially if there's a decent amount of money matched on a particular horse compared to maybe some of the others. And I don't usually check the form of the horses or what people are saying about it, but I know you can have a look at that as well and see if there's lots of talk about a particular horse on the day of racing, which also makes a difference. Anyway, so it's about 2 minutes to the off, and I've tried to make a little bit more money out of button up there. What I generally do sometimes, if I've done really well earlier on and I've made a profit I'm quite happy with, I sometimes just tend to move straight on to the next race, because if I make a really good profit, I think sometimes I can get a little bit in my head, lose focus a little bit and get a bit elated about the profit that I've made, and sort of forget that actually you really need to focus to ensure you don't lose some of that profit if you keep getting involved in the markets. And every new trade that you make needs to be made with based around certain decisions. It needs to be made with focus and concentration to make sure that you don't lose money. And actually that's a hard thing to do. I think when you make a large profit either in the previous race, or you've done quite well in the race you're trading at that time, then it's easy to forget that you're just as vulnerable as you were a few minutes ago, and you could easily lose that profit and end up in a loss, and it happens quite often. Anyway, rambling on a bit there, but that's something recently I've tried to do. With any race I'm not happy with the profit, then I sometimes just tend to move on, just because I know what I'm like. I don't know if people out there are the same. I know some people might be. Anyway, so speaking about early trading, the rest of this is pretty boring really. I'm just trying to eke out an extra couple of pounds profit, which I think I do in the end, but I make quite hard work of it. I think button up, I'm just trying to decide whether or not it's going to drift out or continue the way it was going originally. Persistence is carried on drifting out, and I'm sort of keeping an eye on that, because button up and persistence have been opposing each other, for at least the last hour or two. I think because persistence is still drifting out a bit, then button up is looking as though it's going to make its way back downwards again towards sort of 4.5. But I think at this stage I don't really want to get on with any sort of a big stake, certainly not the £200 I originally got on with when I first started this early trade. But I think I eventually get on with a stake of about £50 and to take it in £10 increments, just to get an extra couple of quid out, which is always, money's money at the end of the day. If you're getting enough of 50p or pound, or £2 out of the last 30 seconds of the race, it's well worth doing, because actually over the course of the day, then those figures add up. Even 50p on multiple races throughout the day, that can add up and make a difference to your P&L at the end of the day. Anyway, so I'm definitely rambling a bit now, so I'll probably leave it there. But if people are enjoying the videos, I'll certainly add some more. I need the motivation really to record more of my trading, so I'm not doing enough of that. I get a little bit lazy and just trade without recording and actually analysing the trading that I've been doing. So if anyone's interested, leave a comment or anything you particularly want to see. Not that I'm an expert at all compared to the guys like Carnberry and the other people that you might be watching on YouTube, but I'll be happy to try and put a video up of me showing a particular example. And yeah, alright, cheers, thanks for watching anyway.